Good morning, all my amazing listeners and students. Today I'm here with Zain Farooq, who is the owner of MyTM, which is a white label wallet. He is a doctor, he is an entrepreneur, and he is going to tell us all about his life journey and how we can get inspiration from him. So, Assalamu alaikum, Zain. How are you?
Walaikum Assalam. I'm doing well. Thank you very much for inviting me.
I'm so glad that you could take the time to meet us today. So, Zain, for all our listeners and viewers, most of them will be children. Some of them will be, grown up people like me and followers of my YouTube channel. I would like you to give a short introduction about yourself and give us a little bit, tell us about your background, tell us about where you grew up, your family situation, how many siblings you are, and also you were, I think, you started, dabbling in digital technology when you were very young. Is that right? So could you walk us through your journey?
Okay, so as you all know, my name is Dr. Zain Farooq. So I was an oncologist by profession. I grew up in Lahore, Pakistan, and I went to National Grammar School. Then I went to Government College University. From there, I went to China to complete my medical studies. And then I did my master's in oncology. I worked with the World Health Organization for over 5 years after I graduated. Then I worked with the Shanghai International Medical Center and all. Um, I basically have a brother and a sister. My brother is a doctor too. My sister, she is in Australia. She's the head of sales in Toyota, and my brother is a general physician in UK. Um, I basically I come from a middle class family. My father is a small scale industrialist, and we have seen a lot of challenges when it comes to businesses. So always I wanted to go into the business side, but my parents were always forcing me to pursue um, certifications and like you can say professional education. So once I fulfilled that, I still thought that there's a reason why I still have a reason to go into the market to explore problems that people find very hard to solve. So the story of me moving from a professional doctor to an entrepreneur is very simple. So my father, he had a very big loan. He took a very big loan from the bank, and I was studying in China at that time. So when I came back after graduation, I found out that this loan my dad has been paying for 6 years, and the loan amount still stands at the same amount, like 8 crore rupiah. It's the same amount it was there. But when I talked to my dad said I've paid over 3 times of the loan amount, and still I still have to pay the cost of fund, and I still have to pay the loan amount itself as well. So it was a shock for the whole family, and we never knew about it. It was pretty much hidden from us. So I went to the bank. I told the bank that we have paid you the whole amount, and then like my dad has been paying everything, and he's not in default. Then why the loan amount is not decreasing at all? So they gave me some reasons that the policy rate is going up and down, the conditions of the country has deteriorated and all. So when I went tried to go deep into the information, they were like, we don't have time, just go and learn yourself and figure it out yourself. I took it to heart. I was like, it's me. How about other families in Pakistan who are going through this, and like how about other families worldwide who are going through this issue? So from that point on, I started taking interest in finance and banking. I started opening the state bank reports. I started seeing the trends, how are banks and financing institutions capitalizing on the deteriorating conditions of economy, and how a common man is being pressed, and how the access to finance is limited. So I started finding that the banking system is broken, and there's no help because the information flow is not there. It's not a consumer centric market. Businesses don't get loans easily. But when I started entrepreneurship, and I was very lucky to earn some, to win some awards on an international level. Like I'm still the only person to ever win a Global IT Expo award in the last 21 years from Pakistan. So I was also given the President Award from Dr. Arif Alvi as well in 2024 Feb last year. And we were also able to launch the first Hajj and Umrah card, and we were also able to launch white label wallet. Soon we might also be going into a merger with a very big fintech from Saudi Arabia. That's not public at the moment, but inshallah by the first week of Feb, this will be public also. So, doing all this, definitely it's not been easy. It's been a very difficult journey, and definitely it's if you have a good life partner, you can go forward like in a very different direction. So, I think yeah, this is kind of my background for how I, where I was born, and then my family, and like how I transitioned from an entrepreneur, from a doctor into an entrepreneur.
That's amazing. And, to do all this at such a young age, that itself is very, very amazing. So, Zen, could you tell us a little bit, what is a white label wallet? What does it mean?
So white label wallet, basically, you see a lot of banks, they have these core systems, and a company like mine, like MyTM, if we are not we are not licensed entity, so like not licensed by the State Bank of Pakistan. So for companies like ours who want to also acquire customers in the market, and we want to give them the we want to offer them our products in our own style, we take special permissions from these banks who are giving services, that they provide us, we call it APIs. They provide us the access to their system, where we follow the rules and regulations of the state bank that these banks are following, and we onboard a customer. So the customer technically will see MyTM, but definitely behind MyTM will be the bank who is powering all this. So you can say, like, right now, technically we are working with JS Bank. So JS Bank is behind us. So the technology is there, the infrastructure is there. We definitely are working with them on revenue sharing. So we bring in a new customer, we onboard the customer as per their requirements, and at the same time, uh, the customer, when he onboards, he sees us, and but we also display to them that we have JS Bank behind us. So it's basically kind of like a strategic collaboration, where we are bringing in new customers and offering them offering them systems which a normal bank might not offer to a customer. So we are basically gamifying the process in that scenario.
All right. Okay. So then, like, you talked about your family and how difficult it was for all of you to get out of that loan. And it's like sometimes it's so difficult for people to make the interest payments, and still, the loan is outstanding. This is the state of our country as well. We are
Yeah.
constantly in this circle of debt. So, like, why don't you come up with a solution? How can your white label wallet help people not get into debt? Like credit cards, people run up their credit card bills, and then it's difficult for them to pay them off, and it's terrible. So, like, how can my TM help in this regard?
Okay, so you see, there are two different things here. We are talking about a 137 million adult population, and the total population is around 257 million. 137 million people, only you can say 25% of the people are financially included today. Financially included means a person who has a bank account or a wallet, a Jazz Cash Easy Pesa wallet, or let's say a MyTM wallet, or they are included with the bank. The rest of the 70% people have no access to banking or financing. Secondly, the formal access to finance is only available like to 15% people. And even those, the APRs are very high. The interest rates go even up to 200%. So you're technically you're borrowing 100,000, and at the end of the year you might have to pay back 300,000. So there have been cases, and the reason is because it's not a consumer centric market. uh, our banks, they borrow money to the state bank, and definitely the policy rates are also affected. But now the policies by the state bank and the World Bank is that they should start concentrating more on the consumers. Companies like ours, what we can help only is by using AI, and by using management softwares, financial management softwares or modules. We can help these people streamline the spending that they do. When you talk about credit cards, you see out of the 137 million adult population, there are only 2 million credit cards out there in the market. So, and people like me, maybe I have 6 credit cards, and maybe you have 3 credit cards. So, uniquely, I think it's less than 300 to 400,000 people who have credit cards. So, you are even, in the top, maybe more than top 1%, like less than top 1% of the people have credit cards. And definitely that's an access to credit. But when you look at the APRs and the rates that they are charged, like 36% a month, or sorry, 36% a year, or maybe 44%, you see that they become unaffordable for a common public when there is there is a limitation to employment in Pakistan, and then the increase in the inflation is there. Like, inflation can cause mismanagement of funds. I tell you about utilities. So if you're paying 25,000 as an electricity bill, just next month the unit policy rate has gone double. So now you have to pay 50,000 as bills, and if you are earning 100,000 that month, 50% of your money will go into utilities. And it's uncontrollable because your salaries are not increasing 50%, but your expenses are. And these expenses, I'm talking about basic needs. This is the reason why we always say that in financial management, the vision has to be clear. The customer has to be engaged to, to engrave trust into the financial system. How do you do that? Today you might have heard कि लोगों ने तकियों में पैसे रखे होते हैं. Like, people are putting money in their sofas and all. Reason they're scared that, maybe some departments will hunt them, and, like, will say, give me the tax on their sales and everything. This is just an image that is there in the market, but otherwise, people who are taxpayers, you can see record tax collections are happening nowadays. But are taxpayers happy? No. Reason, because taxpayers are paying not just the taxes on their salaries, but they're also paying indirect taxes. Like, you are paying tax on your salary, then the money that you're left with, you buy milk, you're paying tax on that. You go to a restaurant, you're paying tax on that. You're buying clothes, you're paying tax. So there's always a VAT, that value added tax, that you're paying on every aspect. On food, it's 5% if you pay by card, otherwise it's 15 to 16%. So there's a very big gap where you see that maybe not 40%, but maybe 55% of your money go into taxes,
Hmm.
into
Hmm.
different types of taxes. And a reason being that you are not using the government schools, you're not using the government health facilities, you're not happy with the roads, the utilities that are needed, like common utilities, water, electricity, telephone, even they are not coming full time, and you're paying for it. So it definitely creates a kind of like consumer aggression. Companies like ours, what we do is, startups, they always come up and give offers to the customers where they say, fine, you want to do international transaction, for example, on a Hajj card, you take my card, you go for Umrah, you're going to use your credit card or debit card in another country. Now, a lot of people don't know that when you spend from your debit card in another country, you have to pay 4% forex fee. You have to pay 5% withholding tax and FEDs. So collectively, if you're a taxpayer, you're paying 10 rupees on every 100 rupees that you're spending. And if you're not a taxpayer, then you have to pay maybe 15 rupees on every 100 rupees. That's like 15%. What we do is that if you're a taxpayer with us, we have, with the banks that we are collaborating, have certain cashback policies which we are fulfilling from our own pocket to encourage customers to be financially included. So we make sure that they don't have to pay that extra amount, and we pay that on behalf of them, in order to facilitate and encourage people to use these channels, electronic channels, for the records of the government as well, because it's very easy to then track the spending, because on the tracking of spending, the governments or these companies, large companies, will know what people are buying, and which products can be, like, which can be made more cost effective. So it's like a whole data game that, we are working with as a startup. You don't make money on that initially, and it's a trend that you create. But once the habitual change is there, that, you don't want to carry cash anymore, companies like ours encourage people to take only their mobile phones or their cards. And they then, create an environment where the merchant will say, I need cash, and the customer will say, I don't carry cash anymore, because ATM access is very less in Pakistan. For every 100,000 customers, there are only 12 ATMs. So imagine 100,000 people standing outside 12 ATMs. What will you do? How fast will the money go out? So that is why the merchant effect is there, the easy paisa jazz cash effect is there, the local remittance effect is there. So definitely companies like ours, they experiment, they do some social experiments, and that is why it's a startup, because if it scales on a good aspect, and then customers are facilitated because we're trying to solve problems. When it comes to the other aspect what you said, where people can avoid like taking karzas and managing all this is something which I think is still far fetched, because right now it's business, you're selling money, just like you're selling electronics. So when the customer he's buying money as a commodity to solve his problems, there is no system right now available that is giving the customer a kind of an outlook on, or an insight of how this will affect you if you take this today. And especially a lot of people do that while sending their children to study abroad, or marrying their daughters, and so this they don't see the calculations. It's very emotional market that we have. So I think that's one place where players where there's a huge room, and people might come up with a very successful solution in the near future.
So, where do you come in this emotional market? Where does MyTM come in, and how much of the emotional capital has been of use to you?
Okay, so yeah, definitely. You see, when we talk about the first Hajj and Umrah card, we found this that it's a spiritual journey, and a lot of people are last year 5 million people went for Umrah from Pakistan alone. So that's like the highest number of people from all over the world going to Saudi Arabia. So we saw that there's an opportunity there, and we know that everybody who's going there is taking cash. And that's not, I'm just saying it. It's a fact. 2% of the people, they spend through credit cards or debit cards in Saudi. And the Hajj ministry in Saudi, they told us that electronically, digitally, every pilgrim in 15 days is only spending 25 riyal during the whole trip. Once we went with our pilot, we call it salis. Salis is an Arabic word for smoothness or seamless, for smooth or seamless. So when we introduced the card salis, we saw that there was a hype that customers were going there, and because they know that they're going to take the cash, they're going to get the cash back. So the currency they are buying from any currency exchange was 74 rupees per real. But when you spend it through the debit card or credit card, you'll be charged 79 because of the withholding taxes and the forex fees and everything. So we said, okay, this money on top that you are being charged, we will give you back as cash back in a week. And that experiment worked. And now the spending went from 25 real per person to 660. That's a huge jump.
That's a huge jump. Yeah,
That's a huge
yeah.
jump. And this is the reason why we got attention of a lot of companies in Saudi Arabia as well. And this is why a merger is on the way. So we are
Inshallah,
right now in the middle of it. And the reason is that it's a simple debit card. Any bank could have given it. Any bank can give it. But like a startup will take a risk, will not calculate the will take in the emotional cost more, and say that okay, let's take a risk, because you see there are wallets, there are multiple wallets in Pakistan. But then why our wallet with the same limitations as other wallets, and our card having the same limitations as other cards, are being used more efficiently in Saudi? So this is some, and definitely these people, when they go on their spiritual journey, they have to come back to Pakistan as well. So when you give them the cash back as soon as they're back in Pakistan, they start using your channel for transactions as well. So it's more like customer onboarding, and then customer engagement, and then customer follow up. And companies like ours, because our setups are lean, they are more easy to reach out to the customer, and they try to solve the problems faster than conventional banks.
So, then how much of social media have you used to get your word across?
Yeah.
And how do you see AI? Do you use a lot of artificial intelligence? And if you do, how? In
Okay.
what
So
aspects do you use it?
so if you say that technically we reached out to around 5 million people, so in social media wise, and we were able to capture approximately, you can say, less than 1% of the people. And the reason is because again, you're talking about a niche market, and then when you talk about 5 million people, not all of them are adults. So there is always a demarcation of the public that you go to, and because it was our first experience, we also had billboards up in in major cities like Islamabad, Karachi, Lahore, Faisalabad, Gujranwala, and we saw that there was an impact, that people will trust you, but at the same time, it is very difficult for people to give you a chance as well. Artificial
Mm.
intelligence basically helps us save money. Like, for example, we know that the lead that are being generated, how many of them are qualified leads. So you actually use artificial intelligence with machine learning. So there are two things that combine together, because this artificial intelligence is more like a neural network in your brain, right? But it's just like a kid that you have to train him, that okay, this is what I'm looking for, this is what I should get. Okay, what you wrote is not good enough, I'm going to feed in more information, make it better. So the thing is, artificial intelligence will not make the same mistake again. That's one good fact. Second, you can run checks on artificial intelligence unlimited times. It will never get tired. But in order to run AI, you need to have a very nice and big database, that the data that you're providing is the data that he will give back to you in a much better way. Like, you don't have to do the calculations, you don't have to think about the strategies on a very top level. Yes, once you are going for a deep dive, yes, then definitely you have to put in the processes, the rules. So it's not easy for everyone to use AI as well. And when you say that AI will make people lose jobs, no, I think AI managers are going to be a lot. They're going to be a lot. It's going to be a big market, that AI, how to manage AI, because ultimately, when something is very common, it's difficult to control. Just like you see
Okay.
plastic, you just like plastic paper, plastic shopping bags. There are too
Yeah,
many,
yeah.
and they're very handy. Everybody needs them every single day. But now, when you throw them away, they have created islands. It has destroyed lives of fish and water. So definitely, there are going to be setbacks. For the setbacks, if you're not working today, if you're not working on the management skills required to run an AI setup, I think definitely this is going to be something that will affect generations. Because in Japan, you see now, they don't have workers they don't have construction workers,
Mm.
because everybody's educated and nobody wants to do the plumbing part. So this is the reason why, when a Pakistani will go for plumbing in Japan, he'll be making maybe an equal amount of money to maybe an executive in Pakistan. So
Yeah.
so the thing is, soft skills. Soft skills are there, but then there are definitely skills like construction, plumbing, crane operating, and everything. Even machines are now there who are going to be building, which will like raise a structure in one day. But these machines also need to be operated. These machines can make a mistake as well. Might not today, but maybe tomorrow. Well, so there's no concept of Terminator thing, that the movie
Mm.
shows.
Mm.
It's
Mm.
very much what you feed into them, and then they give you a suggestion. So AI is more like a suggestion. It's not so AI is not a decision. So I think this is the difference that people need to understand, that decision making and suggestion are two different things. AI can never take a decision, and that's where you will always need a human.
Yeah, certainly. But then, how much of AI, artificial intelligence, do you use in your work? And have you laid off people because of AI, or have you hired AI managers, as you call them?
So I have not laid off anybody. I remember in our organization, no, because again, the human factor is important when you're dealing with a project that's very much related to humans. So every project that we do is like it has a lot of human interaction. Yes, AI helps us, like maybe read the code, make it better, helps us find mistakes faster, helps us resolve mistakes faster. It helps us with giving our message out into our setup faster, or maybe like reaching out to the customer faster. Also, it helps you with documentation. It helps you by giving you the basic knowledge very fast. So yes, to this extent, we are using AI. We are also using AI to apply it into how to calculate the risk that we have to calculate once while we are borrowing to someone or we are issuing a service to someone. So yes, definitely that's where you're using it. Also, we're looking at the legal aspects. AI managers, I think I myself am one of the AI managers. So if I know how to use AI efficiently, I will not fire someone saying that, okay, go because I can just do your work now. No, it's not like that. It helps me to pick up the pace of different departments that I look at. I look at 7 departments. So it helps me pick out the pace, and then it helps me sometimes verify what they wrote, because if even if it is AI written, it's not an issue because it's right. I mean, like they would have written it in 30 minutes with the help of AI. They wrote it in 5 minutes. Yes, but if that person is coming to me after 6 hours and saying, "Oh, I worked very hard to write all this down," then definitely, you're like, this is the misabuse of the service, because I know something that you've done in 5 minutes and then you're taking 5 hours free. So yeah, this is why we call AI managers, because they also need to see that the efficiency is there or not, like the business intelligence is there or not, we are using it in the right way or not. So I think everybody is now acting as an AI manager, as a department head, along with their current jobs.
Okay, all right. Okay, great. So, Zen, it was really fruitful. It was a very good discussion, and I really enjoyed talking to you and finding out more about MyTM. And we wish the best of luck to you. I'm going to wind up the interview now. Any message that you would like to give to the students and the teachers and anyone who's watching from the Rehan School? Because you see, we are a very different kind of a school. We don't have geography, maths. We don't even have exams. So we have we children are using learning skills, and IT and AI, and they're trying to become entrepreneurs themselves. So any message that you would like to give to us?
I think the message that I'll give is process is something that you should enjoy, because there is no result. When you talk about results, results can only define you to a particular aspect, that, okay, you're good or bad. But when you're talking about process, you understand the value of the process, not just in terms of good and bad, but also in terms of easy and hard, in terms of fast and slow. So I think you become more wise when you are how to say, you're submitting yourself to the process. Because
Hmm.
if I see myself as an entrepreneur, I have submitted myself to the process. If I see that ultimately I want to become Elon Musk, even that guy is still has given himself to the process. So the process is something, if you're part of the process and you're submitting to it and you know that there's no end to it, which is, by the way, good, because if the process ends, means your motivation is gone, because your wiring changes. So if
Hmm.
the school is teaching students to be more creative, and they want to be more yeah, creative is a good word. If
Solve,
they want to be more creative
yes,
and
and
motivated,
yeah, and they want to
they
solve
should
problems because
they want to solve
yeah.
problems, then they should not limit themselves to results, because the results will define them in a very different aspect. They know that they have to continuously produce results. So that is why a process is which is not ending. So I will say that they should make them, you people should wire the children in a way that they do not burn out, because when you burn out, you socially have no interaction. And
Hmm.
once you have achieved what you wanted, it's very difficult to get back into it's very difficult to reverse the permanent changes that you put in. So it's like the human brain is very strange. Right now, the message I want to give specifically is, I love stress. I have figured that out. So now when I have a day off, I am more stressful because I have no stress. So 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 I think wiring, you have to wire yourself enough that you don't start loving stress, because stress is
Hmm.
something that helps you solve problems, but it's at the same time a condition which a lot of people should not go into because they go into emotional breakdowns. So I think
Hmm.
there's a work-life balance that they all talk about, but I think hard work is everything. Hard work has nothing to do with work-life balance. So I think it's very controversial what I'm saying, but maybe there's no best way to say it.
All right, so you are the only person who's ever said who loves stress. Because maybe
I
you,
accept that. Yes.
yeah. So this brings us to the end of our conversation with Zain Farooq, who likes a stressful environment because he has been endowed and he has got the skill set to deal with it and to put his best foot forward at all times. Thank you very much for joining us today, Mr.
Thank
Zain
you.
Farooq.
Thank you. Thank you,
Very great.
Shikra. Thank you very much.
Uh,
Okay.